keep it a buck with you. I'm just sad, right? Because I just feel like,
Okay.
I mean, everything happens for a reason, but I just feel like the path that you guys were on, you know, was just such a beautiful path to watch.
Chemistry,
you know what I'm saying? It was
amazing.
just, but not even the chemistry for me. It's really just, it's the leading by example thing, right?
Leading
Like
by
obviously,
example.
you know,
It was all cap though.
Yeah.
See, that's. I understand what you're saying. The optic was amazing,
yeah.
but when you know what Rory and
Optic
myself
was amazing,
Right.
but
it was all
it's all
just cap.
cap. Okay.
Like you can't see you can't cry about De La Soul not getting they splits on one show, and then do what you did to me and Rory.
That's why it's hard to be friends and work in the business, because in the
Interesting.
business, it's business, right? So like, how do you tell the line in being a business person, know what makes sense for your brand or whatever it is you're building, as versus the loyalty and like being, you know what I'm saying, being down for your friends, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how do you
Never
straddle
mix
that line?
business with friendship.
again,
Like
or
without it
family.
being compromising.
It's not. See, again, I think we put a lot of bullshit in the game, man, because you can do business with friends, and I think we got to
Nope.
stop
Now
acting
that's
like you can't.
cap.
Okay, so I clipped that episode from Rory and Mal's podcast. Please subscribe to them on their YouTube channel. Subscribe to them on their iTunes as well as their Spotify channel. Wherever you get your podcast enjoyment from, please subscribe to Rory and Mal's podcast. Very good podcast. And the reason why I clip that particular episode, because they were in the studio and the guy was talking about how he appreciated the Joe Budden podcast, and he hate to see how it ended. And then he also talked about it's kind of, you have to walk a fine line when you're doing business with your friends. Now, Mal wanted to put his 2 cents in, and he basically said, well, I don't understand how Joe Budden can cry about De La Soul, how Tommy Boy Records screwed De La Soul out of their royalties, out of their contract, pimped them out of their contract. But you do us the exact same way. Mal, there have been plenty of episodes where you would talk about other artists and their contracts, the contracts that they sign. You would always make statements such as, this artist apparently didn't read the contract. Okay? This artist does not understand their contract. But you do the exact same thing as the other artists. You just sign your name to a contract and you don't understand your own contract. You did not read your contract. You did not understand your contract. Let's talk about De La Soul for a minute, shall we, since you want to bring them up. De La Soul, when they signed their contract, they didn't understand how royalties work. They didn't understand about distribution. They didn't understand a lot of things that were going on in the music industry. And in that particular time, there was a majority of artists that did not understand how the music industry, the music business worked. Okay? That's why you had such artists as De La Soul, where now these artists can learn from their mistakes. All right? But since you want to bring them up, how come you couldn't understand your contract? Couldn't understand or fathom your situation, right? But I kind of, and when you listen to them talk, the guy is not disagreeing with Mal. At no point of that conversation, he disagreed with Mal or he co-signed with Mal. He disagreed with Joe Budden or he co-signed with Joe Budden. He just basically said it's hard, and he didn't change his opinion, not one bit. It's hard to walk a fine line when you're doing business with your friends. I made several videos on my other YouTube channel. I'm going to have this video played on both of my YouTube channels, by the way. And I talked about how it's hard being doing business with your friends. Okay? It's very hard to do that. And that's why the majority of people prefer not to. A lot of people in the comment section talking about, oh, you should not say that. You can do business with your friends. You can't even do business with your family. There have been many examples in music, in entertainment, in sports, when a business starts off with two best friends and it just doesn't work out. A business starts off with two cousins or a brother and sister or a wife and a husband, just doesn't work out. There are a lot of examples proving the point that it is very hard and difficult, and the rule of thumb is you just don't do. You don't do business with your friends or your family members. Okay? Now, Mal talking about parameters. The whole issue is about transparency. Mal, you was making a lot of money to the point where you can get your own agent, you can get your own lawyer, and before you sign your name on the dotted line, they can look at your contract. Even if you don't know nothing about your contract, you have the resources and the money to not sign something quick, fast, and in a hurry. I don't understand this. Well, he did us wrong. And we don't get full credit for the podcast. We don't get full when it comes to the money aspect of the podcast. We don't get the majority of the revenue when it comes to our podcast, to the Joe Budden Podcast. But you have plenty of resources, plenty of money, and you know plenty of people in the music business that you could have used at any point of time to say, okay, is this contract good? Is it bad? What's going on with this contract? Is this contract giving me what I wanted? If it's not, then I'm not going to sign it. And you guys signed a bad contract. There's no ifs, ands about it. Look, can Joe Budden be a butthole? Yes. Can Joe Budden be difficult? Yes. Can Joe Budden make the correct business decisions and business moves? No. Okay? But you guys knew going in. You guys were there when he signed a deal with Complex to do Everyday Struggle. Nothing, no bells went off, no flags went off on how Joe does business. You guys were there when he was doing Love and Hip Hop. There was no flags, no bells, no nothing to alarm you that maybe Joe Budden is not good on the business side of things. What about when he was an artist? You guys always talk about Joe Budden thinks that people are gravitating to the podcast because he was a rapper, he was an artist. When he signed his deal with Slaughterhouse, you guys were there. You guys have the history in front of you when he signed his Def Jam deal. I mean, you guys should know more about the history of Joe Budden because you work with this guy and you know his history a lot closer than someone like me or anyone else. So, another thing I get tired of is people always blaming their decisions, their choices on other people. Even though that person may be an evil person, even though that person may not know what they're doing, even if this person is a butthole, at the end of the day, Joe Budden didn't put a gun to you to either one of you guys' head and told you to sign this contract. You guys could have easily left this contract. You guys could have easily not signed this contract. But why did you sign the contract? Now, Mal's going to tell you all the reason why we signed it, because we trust Joe Budden. When Joe Budden ever since y'all been friends with him, y'all have worked with him, when has he ever demonstrated loyalty, trust, transparency? When has he ever demonstrated that? Give me an example. I know of no example. And you guys work with him. You guys are supposed to be alleged friends, besties. And you mean to tell me you didn't know this? Look, Joe Budden's a lot of things. And like I said in my other videos, Mal, Rory, Joe Budden all handled this the wrong way. But if you watch this clip or even listen to this clip, Mal is still mad. Still to this day. Still bitter. Still to this day. Because even though you would think blazing your own trail, starting your own podcast, you're now in partnership with Kevin Durant's media group, 35 and Venture. It seems like y'all are living the good life. Okay, you finally get to do what you want to do. You're your own boss. And with all that I just said, Mal still not happy. Mal is still not happy. And I feel like Rory echoes those same sentiments, but Rory isn't going to tell you how he really feels. He's just going to give you he's going to give you little tidbits here and there. He's going to, but he's not going to go into no full-blown, okay, this is how I really feel about the whole situation. He's been very cavalier about it. And, he does his quick jabs here and there. But, he doesn't, he's keeping it all on the hush-hush because he knows that at the end of the day, we're blazing our own trail. We're doing our own thing. And I made a video on my other channel talking about how this, they're going to schedule their episodes the same day as Joe Budden. And I talked briefly about that. I just thought it was nothing to do about nothing. But I had to tell you guys about this. I just could not believe it. And still to this day, Mal is still bitter. Still bitter. You would think out of all the achievements, out of all his personal achievements, he can just move on, but he just can't move on. And I know a lot of people are going to say in the comment section, they're going to defend Rory and Mal. You're going to have people defend Joe Budden. I really don't care. I do not have a horse in it. I told you guys in numerous videos, all three of these individuals handled it the wrong way. But, everybody has to have a hero and a villain. Rory and Mal are the heroes, the knight on the white horse, so to say. And Joe Budden is the villain with the black hat. I mean, that's how people look at things. They just look at, you just don't like Joe Budden. So no matter however the situation would have played off, you would have still disliked and hated Joe Budden. You just wanted another reason to say something bad about Joe Budden. And like I've said in tons of videos, I think Joe Budden's a jerk, a butthead. He can't really run businesses properly. I mean, how many examples do we need to show to illustrate that? But the one thing I give him kudos on, he's a great content creator. Okay? He's good at creating. Okay? But at the end of the day, about comparing De La Soul to yourself, y'all are more similar than you honestly can't believe, but De La Soul at least has an excuse, in the early hip hop years when it comes to business, You know, no one knew what was a good contract and what was a bad contract. You know, De La Soul just wanted to, you know, get their music out. Okay, but now we can learn from the mistakes of other musicians, and now it doesn't happen. It still happens, but it doesn't happen a lot with today's artists. Hey, I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys later. Deuces.